Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Steve Chiama, and I'm your host today from Action Coach in Western Fairfax. I'm your host of the Business Spotlight podcast. And today I have the pleasure to introduce Cherri Mosey, the president and COO of IP Consulting, as my guest. And today we're going to talk about Cherri's business, her journey through this process of building and growing a business, share some best practices, and a peek into what it's really like to build and operate a business. So if this is your first time on the channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop a show like this one. Cherri, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here today. And if you would, please share a little bit about you and your background and tell us a little bit about your business, if you would.
Thank you, Steve, for asking me to join. I'm looking forward to our talk together. Um, I am, as you mentioned, with IP Consulting. We are a technology solution provider. So that is pretty common, I think, these days. But what makes us a bit unique is we really help our customers focus more on what they're trying to accomplish in their organization, and we focus on the technology. So we spend a lot of upfront time asking questions, which is why I'm intrigued about our time together today. You're going to ask me a lot of questions, and so I feel like it's only fair I'm on the other side of the fence for once. But we ask a lot of questions about where do you want your organization to go? Where are your growth plans? And then we can bring our best practices around technology and all of the investments we're making in that space, and hopefully help you grow your company a little bit better. I have been with IP Consulting now for 17 years. And I think I was born a project manager. Pretty much anybody who knows me would say, yep, she's a project manager. I
Mm-hmm.
definitely like to have things organized. I think in terms of milestones. And so I started off with
Mm-hmm.
IP Consulting as a part-time project manager. And over the course of my 17 years, I've had the great honor of being the president and COO. And we've grown from a founder and I of a force of two to where we're at today. And, really eager to see the future of our company continue on.
Awesome, awesome. What have you gotten to? How many people on the team at this point?
We have currently 17 full-time employees and a handful of 1099s. And we are I think we'll close in on about 6.3 million in revenue this year.
Very good, very good. That's a journey, isn't
And it's a journey. Yes, and it's not been a straight line, trust me.
it? Well, that is the norm. It is not ever a straight line. Let's for the context of the audience, let's talk a little bit about the business structure. Now, you said you started with a founder, an owner, and yourself as a part-time project manager. Let's go a little bit deeper. Does he have investors? Are there what's the structure that you're working with at this point?
Yeah, great question. We are fully bootstrapped. So
Mm-hmm.
our founder was working for Cisco Systems, and
Mm-hmm.
the big Cisco, and was a early employee there and an
Mm-hmm.
engineer, and
Mm-hmm.
decided, hey, why should I come up with all of these solutions for all of these customers? Why don't I do that for my customers? And
Mm-hmm.
um, initially started doing just project-based work. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Brought me on because he recognized as an engineer he doesn't have a strength in
Mm-hmm.
organizing his day. So as we grew, um, he was the technical lead, and I was the operations and project lead. And
Mm-hmm.
then, we kind of stayed project centric for a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
As the industry has shifted,
Mm-hmm.
more people now prefer to have a more predictable type spend in their technology.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've had to make the transition into a managed service provider or a co-managed service provider, if you will. So that was a big shift for us, but we've stayed bootstrapped all along. We've come up with some creative ways to help fund the leaps.
Hmm.
One of which, I think most things in business, you have a strategy, but you take advantage of a good
Hmm.
news when it plops in your lap. And so we had a couple of our clients want to give us a large down payment, and we said, sure, we'll make that work. And so yes, we, kind of strategically tried to grow along with the business. We've considered investors in the past, but we've stayed bootstrapped all along the way.
Very good. So you have learned the art of cash management, um, and anticipation of where that cash is going to be needed and when it's going to be needed.
I learned the hard way. Yes, there were a few tense moments where we said, "Are you going without the paycheck this week, or am I?" But unfortunately, that was few and far between. So yeah.
Very good. Very good. Um, I think I want to play a little bit. You talked about being the project manager and now being the operating manager, if you will. Let's talk about roles. There are a whole bunch of roles in any organization, especially one that's growing where you have to anticipate spots that are not filled right now. What are the roles that you call yourself president and COO, but I have an inkling that involves a whole bunch of additional things. What else are you doing at this point, and what have you given up?
Oh my. Um, I am going to answer your I'm going to answer shortly, and then I'm going to answer long ways.
Hmm.
I think two key roles that I wish we would have filled or named earlier than we did. We follow EOS, or
Hmm.
Enterprise Operating System, Traction, Gino
Hmm.
Wickman, whole series. And from that mindset, they name a visionary and an integrator. And
Hmm.
you probably could guess I'm the integrator.
Hmm.
And our founder is the visionary. And that really, I think, is important, even as we've interacted with other companies in our discipline, in our field, our peers. I think they go sideways when they don't name those two roles, and they don't stick to letting those two roles be all that they're
Hmm.
created to be.
Hmm.
So for me as an integrator, I I thrive on an organized workforce. I thrive
Hmm.
on having five different plans because we need contingencies, and
Hmm.
I like to know, what the goals are, and I can
Hmm.
name those. Our visionary, he's like, throw it over the fence. Let's see what happens. Can't we go faster? Why can't we go faster? Why don't we have this, done tomorrow? So what I've had to learn is taking that feedback, because I feel the most comfortable when I've got five contingency plans, but that's not realistic in a business that's got to adapt, right? So what I've had to give up is the need for control, because I can't
Hmm.
control every department. I need to
Hmm.
give up, and that I've gotten better at recruiting for that very
Hmm.
reason. I would say I also need to give up the expectation that people are going to do things the way that I would.
Hmm.
And I've had to learn how to be clear about what the need to have it things are. What are the
Hmm.
must have accountabilities in the various roles that we
Hmm.
have? So I fully answer your question.
You did just fine. That's
Yeah.
that's that's the important stuff sit down and ask yourself, where are we today? That's all good. The visionary could be asking the question, what would it look like if we doubled the business tomorrow? What would it need to look like? Well, then there's a whole different set of roles and redundancies and all kinds of different things going on. So to make that possible, what are the pieces that are needed so we can get into those kind of questions very, very quickly. Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, the answer is a good answer. The question is what's next?
What's next? What's next for me, ironically, is I have plans to retire out of full-time work by the end of this year.
Hmm.
So, uh, our founder's a bit younger than I, so he's going to maintain. And so my work has been over the past 5 years. Actually, I gave a 5-year notice
Hmm.
um, to replace myself. And that was some
Hmm.
advice actually I got early on. I bet I was
Hmm.
mid-20s when a
Good.
mentor of mine said, you need to always be replacing yourself.
Hmm.
Don't ever work yourself into a job because that'll be your job forever.
Hmm.
And so I've, very strategically been trying to, build a foundation and then turn that foundation over to someone else. And then I
Hmm.
focus on the next phase of the business. So we have really strong service delivery. We've got really strong financial metrics. What I'm really focusing on for now until the end of the year is our sales and marketing.
Uh-huh.
And I said, look, I'm our biggest cheerleader. I love what we do. I believe in what we do. And I want to infuse that level of passion into our company so that that is something that I can leave as a legacy for the
Hmm.
for the next generation to catch that passion.
Hmm. Cool, cool, cool. Very good, very good. Let's talk a little bit. Let's go back, circle back a little bit. Who would you say are the customers you serve most effectively? Who's the best kind of customer for
Mhm.
you?
You know, we've asked ourselves this a lot in terms of, especially now with the focus on sales and marketing I mentioned earlier. Um, and it's less about a vertical, it's less about an industry, it's more about the type of company that really wants to use technology effectively. And
Hmm.
they know that it's going to be a differentiator in their business.
Hmm.
And I wouldn't even say invest dollars, but it's time, effort, and energy. They believe in the fact that, they're not afraid of AI, for example. That's the buzzword
Hmm.
today, right? How can we take this new thing that's happening? It's happening to
Hmm.
all of us.
Hmm.
What does that look like to my customers? How are
Hmm.
what are the expectations that my customers are going to have on me that are different than they were in the past? And how can I stay
Hmm.
ahead of that competition? How can I
Hmm.
not be surprised by what's changing in the environment? So long-winded answer to say, I think it's really our best customers are those that see technology as a potential differentiator and they're not
Hmm.
necessarily trying to avoid it.
Without naming names, can you give an example story of how that played out?
Um, Let me think here. Have a few. Um, let's see. We ha One of the current clients that we're working with, they have a they have a solution. They're a software as a service developer themselves.
Hmm.
And I'm so excited and fascinated by what they're trying to create.
Hmm.
What they didn't know is compliance. Their target clients are going to be the defense contractors.
Hmm.
And they knew that their gap was how can they take their product and go to market with their product, but and be secure? How can they make their product as secure as possible? How can they make sure that they're mitigating any risk of getting a black eye because that would not bode well for confidence in their solution.
Hmm.
And so we were able to sit down with them, craft and learn about what they're trying to develop, and then find ways that we could augment that.
Yeah.
What makes sense for us to apply our expertise. And I mentioned it's those areas of cybersecurity. There's so much happening in this space right now. There's
Hmm.
so many different options on the table. How can we come together to say of these 10 options, let's get down to the top three and let's dive into those together and what makes sense from your budget and from a capability standpoint and
Hmm.
bring those together. And then the
Hmm.
compliance stage, as well. What are the regulations? Those seem to be black and white, but oftentimes there's the interpretation, right, of
Mm-hmm.
thou shalt X. Well, X isn't as well defined as we'd like it to be, right? So, what does that look like in my environment and how I apply it? So, we have, the benefit of drawing from other experiences and other customers and saying, well, these three did it this way, and I think this
Mm-hmm.
best matches you. So, let's go in that direction. So it's very rewarding to help other
Mm-hmm.
customers actually do better in their job because of the
Mm-hmm.
expertise that we bring forward.
Very good. Very good. Very good. What is one thing you wish more people knew about your business?
That technology is more than just antivirus. It's more than just your computer. It's more than
Mm-hmm.
just email.
Mm-hmm.
Really technology, it's uh it can be a capability. Um
Mm-hmm.
and if we uh if I went into this space green, if I didn't know anything about technology, I wouldn't know where to start
Mm-hmm.
because it's so broad.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about how do I connect to the internet. It's also how do I use AI and
Mm-hmm.
everything in between, right? And so I wish that people would understand that it's not it is infallible. Like it is it's not when it's not, excuse me, it's not if, it's when is it going to
Yeah.
fail. So
Right.
how can we plan and risk mitigate? But then also, I think it's important not to just think that my brother-in-law who has a has a passion for, making my computer run and is a gamer, that's
Mm-hmm.
probably not what I need in order to run my business effectively.
Yeah.
Because there's so much else that needs to be considered. And as long as I've been in this industry, I learn every day, and I've got experts in every field that make me feel like I'm smarter than I. Hopefully, I sound smarter than I look.
Awesome. Awesome. Let's change direction and talk about you a little bit for a minute here. Um, you took a chance in the beginning
I did.
to jump into something brand new with somebody who hadn't ever done anything like this before. What got you to make that leap?
That is a funny story. Ironically, I had just left a position and
Mm,
made the decision that I was going to start my own business.
mm-hmm,
I was going to focus on operations. I was going to call
mm-hmm,
my business COO to go. I had a passion for fractional operations management for small businesses. And a friend of mine, who was a friend of the founders, connected us and said to our founder, "Hey, you need a project manager." And he called me and said, "Hey, you're going to start your own business. You need a customer reference." And I said, "Okay, this sounds fun." And I told our founder, "Hey, I'm going to start my own business. I'm not here long term, but this will be fun to work together."
17 years later.
17 years later. And now, we refer to each other. I said, "Oh, like he's like my little brother, and I'm like gum on his shoe. He can't get rid of me, and even when he tries." So yes, we just found that we clicked. We have
Good.
we have the same core values.
Mm-hmm,
We have a passion to deliver quality.
mm-hmm,
We keep our word. We go above
mm-hmm,
and beyond, and that's kind of rare. And
mm-hmm,
then also have those complementary skills that I mentioned.
mm-hmm,
I'm learning every about technology from him every day. He is just such a student and so smart. And I can bring my skills, and we respect one another.
mm-hmm,
I think that's the other thing why I stayed here and why I made the leap is,
mm-hmm,
being a female in a technology world is not for the faint of heart. And it is unique to be, not as much now as it was even then when I started, but one thing Milton's always respected. me, always respected my viewpoint, always respected my voice, and always given me space.
Hmm.
And I think that was one of the key reasons why I thought, wow, this is a place I can plant some roots.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Along that journey, what would you say has been one of the more memorable of the hurdles that you've had to cross and take the business with you?
Oof. Well, I joked earlier about, the time in our business where we kind of took turns not taking a paycheck. Um, it was along that pivot timeline when we said, look, we're gonna stop doing projects because those are customers we have to re-win every single time
Hmm.
we go out to
Hmm.
market. And it's a completely different sales motion to sell a managed service. You're selling trust at that point. You're not selling
Hmm.
projects and direct outcomes.
Hmm.
And so during that pivot, we were top line much more successful back then than we are even now. And that was humbling. It was
Hmm.
humbling to go backwards before you go forwards.
Hmm.
It was humbling to make the decision that, look, in order to thrive long term, we've got to take a pause on our growth. I mean, we were Inc. 5000 for 4 years in a row,
Hmm.
just growing like gangbusters. But we saw that, and I will credit our founder for this, saw the end early on and
Hmm.
decided we needed to pivot. And in the midst of that pivot, learned a lot. And I think that the crucial change was we knew we had to do things differently. And so we committed to joining a peer group.
Hmm.
And our particular peer group is one that's more organized. It's a national peer group, but I
Hmm.
would encourage anyone to do it, even mentors, even, right? It's having a story, an angsty story, and having someone be able to authentically say, "Oh, trust me, you're not the only one." That feels good.
Hmm.
It also feels good to have someone I make my business case, I make my pitch, here's the strategic plans, and have them look you in the eye and say, "That's crazy. What are you thinking? That's never going to work." So it's like that the board of directors a little bit of
Yeah.
your employees might not be quite as willing to tell you you're crazy as
Right. It's risky for them.
and it's rewarding to help other companies, as well. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I'd say vision, courage, and peers, those are the must-haves for a business of any type, frankly, I think.
Great. Looking ahead for the business now, I know you're not going to be with it in 5 or 10 years, but you know where the business is going in 5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
Where do you see it? Where do you see it evolving to? Where do you see it going?
Oh, I mean, everybody's talking AI these days, and it's, I don't know, for those of us who are around when the cloud was a thing, right?
Hmm.
That took up everybody's talk track for a while. And really, at the end of the day, the cloud was just, hey, the server that I had in my closet now exists in a data center in Ashburn
Hmm.
instead.
Hmm.
It's still a server, it's just
Hmm.
where it's located. And I think that's a little bit of AI.
Hmm.
It's still a compute. It just
Hmm.
helps me make some things happen a little bit faster than they
Hmm.
used to happen before. And so where I think the industry probably is going to go, it's unfortunately, I think it's a little bit of a bubble that's going to happen with AI. People are going to realize what it's good for and what it's not.
Hmm.
It's going to automate a lot of things for us.
Hmm.
But where I think technology is going to always be is, I think, that differentiator. If you can crest the wave a little bit and stay
Hmm.
ahead, just a little bit ahead of your
Hmm.
competition, I think it can take an organization from run of the mill to really a standout. And I
Hmm.
think it's going to be along that less artificial intelligence and more around automation. If you do something more than once a day, you probably should be looking at AI to to do that
Fill
for
in.
you, at least
Mm-hmm.
to help you in it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think and I hope that it'll enable a little bit more personal interaction again,
Mm-hmm.
where
Mm-hmm.
I'm not having to go back and forth 5 email chains to figure out when we can meet together, right? Our AI bots are going to talk to each other and figure out Steve and I can best meet on Monday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
And
Right.
that means that Steve and I can have a more meaningful conversation as
We can
well.
spend our time talking.
Exactly. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
hopeful that it'll bring a little bit more personal interaction back into our lives.
Awesome. That's a very good insight that I don't think a lot of people pick up. Is it's not automation for the sake of automation. It's automation for the sake of freeing up time to do more valuable things.
I
Um,
hope so. I hope so.
yeah. Yeah. Just thinking about your successor, what do you think that person's main challenges are going to be going
Oh,
down that journey?
I've already had to pick my successor,
Mm,
so I had to agonize over this. We landed on someone with financial acumen. Um, as an operations person, I know numbers, I understand a balance sheet, I know how to read a financial statement, but I don't speak numbers the way a real analyst speaks numbers.
hmm hmm
And as we're growing,
hmm
having that forward lean into understanding the impact of option A and option B on your margin and a difference of a point or two being, hey, do I have EBITDA positive or negative? So we picked someone with a lot of financial acumen as we're making investments into a technology that's new. We also leaned into someone um, that's got leadership skills.
hmm
So both with large organizations and small. Our customers range the gamut. We have some very
hmm
large entities that we do work for, and we've got some very
hmm
small organizations. So we needed someone with leadership capabilities that could resonate with a
hmm
wide variety of folks.
hmm
And we picked somebody that was not young, but not senior either,
hmm
because our workforce is very diverse. We've got, I'm not the only one that's cresting the silver tsunami in our
hmm
organization. And so having someone that could really understand both sides of that generation gap
Yeah. Yeah.
was what we thought was important for us.
Yeah. That's an issue. And there are the different generations, and there what are at least three generations in the workforce now, have completely different ways of looking at things. And there is a communication issue there. Good, 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 good. Let's go back to the beginning for a minute. Thinking about what you've accomplished, knowing what you know now, if you were to start that business today,
Mm,
what would you do different?
wow. Let's see. If I were starting a managed service provider technology business today, I'd say you need some real smart technologists, but we really need people. We
Hmm
really need to, we're starting to develop this, but I would lean into uh, people that are good listeners,
hmm
people that have a passion for that servant leadership kind of style. I'm not
hmm
in it to make my name, I'm in it to help. And that's, how you're wired. Um,
hmm
really hard to recruit for, by the way.
Yes, it is. Yeah, put
Um,
that into a job description.
yes. And I think I would also maybe consider having an investor earlier on. It would have made some of our choices, we would have had more choices than we did. being bootstrapped.
Hmm.
Um, I would have gotten more sleep. I mean,
Maybe.
there were a number of years I worked probably 90 hours a week.
Hmm.
And I probably wouldn't recommend that. I don't think that that was an effective choice, but at the time, hey, it was the one in front of me and the one I knew how to make work. So,
Right, right.
yeah, I think that's what comes to immediate mind.
Yeah. 90 hours a week does not sound appealing to me.
It doesn't to me anymore either, trust me. I'm
Yuck.
down to a solid 60, so.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Cool, cool. This is awesome. We picked up a handful of really interesting points here. But in the interest of time, because I think we could talk about this story all day. In the interest of time, let's start wrapping up with a few rapid fire questions and see where they take us.
Oh boy.
What would you say has been your key to success down this journey?
Curiosity. Curiosity.
Hmm.
100%. I am an insatiable learner. I am never satisfied with thinking that I've got it all. So absolutely
Hmm.
curiosity.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Let's pretend you and I were at the coffee shop having a cup of coffee, and somebody walked in talking about the business they were starting up with their friend. What's one piece of advice you would want to share with that person?
Ooh, decide what role you want to be. Going back to that
Mm.
missionary or an integrator, please
Hmm.
don't try to be both.
Hmm.
You need to press into your identity. Where's your
Hmm.
passion and really stick to that and
Hmm.
recognize you can't be and you shouldn't try to be all things to all people.
Good, 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 good. What is one book you're reading now or have read recently that's having impact on how you move this business forward?
Oh, well, back to the generational, it's called Sticking Points. It's actually on my desk over here while I'm looking at it.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
Sticking Points, how to get four generations working together in the 12 places that come apart.
Only
And
12?
yeah, well, that's this author's. Yeah, I think, I don't think anything, there's nothing new under the sun, as a very wise man said, right?
Hmm.
Um, but I think that in our current work culture, the importance, the material difference between the generations is stark. My generation, you work hard, you work that 90 hours a week, you don't complain. There's, others in the workforce that's 90 hours a week, crazy. Like, I need my space here. I need to take care of my, fill in the blank, right?
Yeah.
And I think getting those two to work together and to say, look, you're probably both right, maybe
Hmm.
90 might be a nice surge once in a while, but yes,
Right.
can't forget your family, your pets, your friends, your, life.
Hmm. Yeah. Are you here for the business or are you here for your life?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Awesome. You've had a great journey.
I
You
have.
you learned a lot. You've done a lot. What would you say you're most proud of in this journey?
I always said I wanted to be a leader because I wanted to try to create a place to work that I would want to work.
Hmm.
I always wanted to, it was important to me to be respected, to have a
Hmm.
voice, to have a place where my unique skills were valued and I could make a
Hmm.
difference. And
Hmm.
I'm, we have our values, we hire
Hmm.
by them, we reward by them, we repeat them to one another every week. And I think I've been able to create a work environment where I would be happy to take a job.
Awesome. Very good. Very good. Flipping the question around, if there was just one thing you could significantly improve in the business this afternoon with your magic wand, what would it be?
Oh, our 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 biggest gap right now is in our sales department. I wish I had
Hmm.
that figured out. I
Hmm.
I think we've been trying to solve sales with technology, and I think that's the wrong solution. I think we've learned we had to invest in people, and I wish we would have started that sooner.
Yeah, I think that's a wise choice, all things considered. As far as I'm concerned, business is people, people to people. People are the ones who make the decisions. The computers are not.
Yeah,
The computers can compile ideas and you can program them to make a decision, but you can't program to make them an insightful decision. And I think you're on the right track with that thinking. That's good.
thank
That's
you.
good.
That's a good. I'm glad to hear that. Vote of confidence.
How can people who want to know more about you connect in most quickly?
I would say probably LinkedIn. My
Hmm.
profile is open.
Hmm.
Um, I'm one of the few that actually does read all of my email. So email is welcome.
Hmm.
That's probably the two top platforms for me.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Last question. What's most inspiring to you today?
I think it is actually looking at that younger generation.
Hmm.
I think I'm starting to see that spark in their eye again to think, hey, they can take over the world.
Hmm.
It used to be the young had that energy, they had that
Hmm.
passion, and they thought they could make a difference. I think we lost that for a little while,
Hmm.
and I'm starting to see it come back. So I'm happy about that.
COVID did not help.
No, no, not at all. But I think they're rising above it, and they're saying,
Hmm.
we know what went wrong, and
Hmm.
they're not staying there. They're saying
Good.
this went wrong, but I think we can make it better, and I'm gonna try. I'm gonna step my foot out. I'm gonna put myself on the line and say, yeah, I'm gonna try to make it better.
Very good. Very good. This has been a great conversation. You shared a lot of really good points.
Thank you.
Um, you've you've accomplished a lot, and so you've shared the relevant stuff that I think should reflect what you've accomplished. It's not easy taking a business from zero to a dependable 6 million in a changing environment, a constantly changing technology environment. This has been a really interesting past 20 years, so to speak. It's amazing where things have been.
Yeah.
So, to all of the audience, I encourage you to come back and listen to this again and again. Cherri's shared some really good observations that I think are worthy of going back and reflect in your own businesses. So, this has been very good. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you can get notifications every time we drop a conversation like this. And thank you to everyone who joined us today. And a special thank you to Cherri for sharing her story, her journey, and giving us some insight into how this has worked, how the journey has gone for her.